I'll call to order the January 5th City Council regular meeting and ask all of those who would like to join myself and the council in the Pledge of Allegiance to please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first order of business is audience comments. Citizens' comments are an important part of the public process. We take them seriously and factor them into the decisions that we make. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment will have the opportunity to do so. When recognized, please come to the lectern, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, and relationship to the city. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. If you have written comments, please submit those to the city clerk. Personal attacks, obscene language, derogatory remarks, and disruptive behavior will not be permitted. If a speaker is out of order, the mayor will direct the speaker to return to his or her seat. If the speaker does not comply, I will ask him or her to leave the council chambers. Again, citizens' comments, written and verbal, are an important aspect of the public process. The city takes those seriously, and we thank members of the public for taking the time to address us during our meetings. With that, I would ask if anyone has signed up to speak.
There are none. I have interest, but I didn't know you had to sign up.
So no one has signed up to speak. Is there anyone in the audience desiring to speak? Would you please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and relationship to the city, please?
Hello, my name is Joanne Doherty, and I'm a resident of Issaquah. I live up in the Issaquah Highlands area. I live in West Highland Park near Swedish Hospital. I purchased a home there 2 years ago in West Highland Park, and it's a nice view lot on the rim. My home is the only home that does not have a deck. I asked my builder why they wouldn't add a deck, and they said, well, they forgot to put it on the permit. And they told me they were not going to add it anytime soon. They were just going to build the home as is, and that I could put it in aftermarket. So I thought, fine, a little bit of a hassle, but I'll do it. So I started my quest this year in April to find out what the process is to get a permit approved to add this deck. Well, I went to the City of Issaquah Planning Department, and I found out that I have a building setback in my very small 14-foot yard. They told me that I could only place deck footings at 4 feet from the building structure. I could not cantilever the deck because it would cast a shadow on the critical slope or critical area. They told me it's a nature issue, environmental. I was pretty surprised because my backyard is just simply a set of rhododendron bushes and a fence. There's really no environmental hazards that I'm aware of or that I would damage anything. So after being told by numerous folks there that there's really nothing they could do to help me, I hired an attorney, someone familiar with these types of issues, and he basically told me that no, that there shouldn't be any restriction like that would prevent you from cantilevering, that the setback may have some issues with it. However, I found out, according to the attorney, that the City of Issaquah allowed a huge retaining structure in the setback already because the builder asked for that privilege. They moved it on the plan. I have documents that I can leave with you. I've already filed these with the clerk, by the way. Also, there's an asphalt trail going through the critical area, which should not be allowed because it's a critical area. It should be gravel, should be no concrete. So I have found that the City of Issaquah inspector approved this without really any evidence of why they did. And I got an email from the planning department that they have no idea why it was approved or why all this was allowed, but they allowed it. And this is a major intrusion to me. It's my driveway that sits here for the house. So all I want to do is put deck footings in about 8 feet from my home, 8 to 10 feet within this little backyard. Well, I went through this process of trying to get the correct information for months. The attorney said, I'm very expensive, you should, see a consultant who can help and speak to the city in code terms and help figure out what's going wrong. Well, I did that, and they spent several weeks, months, working with the planning department and being told many different stories and avenues of what they could do. They were told that we could file an administrative modification, and we could go to the Issaquah Highlands Community Organization first and gain their approval. We did all this, about $7,500 later, we take this to the planning department and they tell me no. I cannot move the deck posts any further than indicated. But then we found out that they originally had quoted me code for a wetland. I don't have a wetland in my backyard. I have 3 rhododendron bushes and a fence. So they were incorrect on numerous occasions, and I found out I can place one footing at 7.5 feet, but the other one has to be at 5 feet. And all I'm asking for them to do is to kindly use common sense and look at the situation. There is no danger to me, there's no safety issue, which they went from telling me that I was casting a shadow on a wetland that didn't exist, to now I'm in danger. I'm in severe danger of getting hurt in my backyard by putting a deck post next to my fence, which I don't think is true. I have examples of other decks that the city seems to approve that are very scary, and I wouldn't want to be barbecuing on those myself, because the footings are on steep inclines such as this. And I know you can't see these, but I'll leave them if you are interested.
45 seconds.
Thank you. That's pretty much my story, and I'm kind of at my wit's end with it, because I don't want the city to protect me. I don't need protection in this situation. There is no danger, and I feel that the builders and the city inspector have different standards or rules for themselves that a citizen doesn't have. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, Linda, thank you for coming this evening and sharing that. Let us take another look at that.
Okay, I
and
will.
make sure that we understand the information that you have presented, and
Okay.
see what we can do to address your concern.
They have a full copy of all these things, so this is just a sample of the pictures, and you guys know where I am, so if you want to get in touch and advise me before I go too crazy, how I might resolve it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience desiring to speak this evening? Anyone else in the audience desiring to speak? Third and final call, anyone desiring to speak? Seeing no one, then, audience comments are closed, and we will move to committee and regional reports, beginning with Councilmember Milligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report tonight.
And City Council Member Polly.
Thanks. I have 2 things or 3, I guess. First is as Chamber of Commerce liaison in 2014. The last board meeting of the Chamber was on December 18th, and there was a few items that I wanted to just quickly share with that, but also to let the council know that Nina Milligan, Councilmember Milligan, will be fulfilling that role through 2015. At the Chamber meeting, they talked about some of their plans for next year, which will focus on a membership drive and an outreach. They have a new leadership. It's Chair Alan Finkelstein and Vice Chair David Blyvice. Their board meeting times are switching from to Friday at 7:30 in the morning on the 4th Friday of the month. And some of their highlights from 2014 were a focus on tourism, a very successful Salmon Days Festival with a lot of new ideas, a lot of involvement from the board. And their other focus for 2014 was looking at the electrical supply issues and a transportation focus. The next thing I want to talk about was Land and Shore. The Land and Shore Committee for 2015 has 3 new members. I'll be the chair. Councilmember Milligan and Councilmember Barber are the other 2 members of the committee. There will be no meeting in January, and the next scheduled meeting in February, the date will be announced at our next council meeting. Also, I got appointed as an alternate for SCA for 2015 to the Growth Management Policy Board. They will also not be having a meeting in January, and I'll announce their February meeting at our next council meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Martz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I will be taking over services and safety from Councilmember Barber, and I'm very excited about it. She is going to be staying on with services and safety, and Councilmember Scher is joining us. We are also canceling our January meeting and moving our meetings to the second Thursday at 5:30 each month, which means that our next meeting is going to be Thursday, February 12th in the Eagle Room, and the time again will be 5:30. And I will add, in terms of appointments for the year, I continue on the SCA Public Issues Committee, and in addition, am now on the Regional Law and Social Justice. So this concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Scher.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to members of the viewing public. The Council Infrastructure Committee will meet tomorrow evening. That will be at 5:30 p.m. in the Pickering Room of City Hall Northwest off 12th Avenue. And on the agenda, we have one single large item, which is a continuation of our transportation concurrency discussion. And I'll be welcoming our council president and deputy president as members of that committee in 2015. Additionally, the Eastside Transportation Partnership will be meeting this Friday at 7:30 in the morning at the Bellevue School District office, which is off of Northeast 1st Street near downtown Bellevue. And on the agenda, we have a 2015 legislative discussion with King County's Government Relations Manager to talk about the upcoming legislative session, as well as the governor's 2015 biennial budget proposal and King County's legislative priorities. We're going to do some in-house business, review our legislative agenda and statement. We have a planning committee report, officer selection, and other reports scheduled for that meeting, which is due to last about an hour and a half. So if you're one of the new alternate members of ETP, hope to see you there on Friday morning. That concludes my reports.
Thank you. Councilmember Barber.
No report.
Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Polly and I will be the representatives this year on the Eastside Fire and Rescue Board, and there is a meeting this Thursday at 4 o'clock, a board meeting at headquarters. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Goodman. Council President Winterstein.
Thank you. It's a reminder to the council that we have a committee work session a week from tonight. And though many of you might prefer to watch the college football championship game, I still
Go Ducks.
really, excuse me. Go what, guys? So we have one item on the agenda. It is going to be the continuation of our discussion about concurrency. And our current plan is to take plan on the concurrency bill the week after or 2 weeks from tonight. That's the current plan. But as Councilmember Scher already mentioned, it will be part of the agenda for infrastructure tomorrow and then the work session on a week from tonight. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. For the mayor's report, there will not be an executive session meeting this evening. We had our Washington State Audit Exit Conference on December the 17th. I'm happy to report that we are financially healthy and there were no material weaknesses or in internal controls or for non-compliance. I attended the Sound Cities Association North and Snoqualmie Valley Caucus meeting on December the 18th. Mayor Dave Baker from Kenmore and Mayor Amy Whalen from Kirkland were elected by the caucus to the Sound Cities Association Board. Those present identified a transportation package, streamlined sales tax, and lifting the 1% property lid as the top three issues for 2015 during a general discussion of those attending that meeting. At the Sound Transit Board meeting on December the 19th, the board updated the regional long-range plan, setting the stage to begin work this year in shaping a Sound Transit 3 ballot measure that will identify the specific projects that would be included in a ST3 ballot measure. Finally, we had a special council meeting this morning to discuss Issaquah's legislative agenda with Senator Mullet and Representatives Rodney Cliburn and Sen from the 5th and 41st districts. We talked about headlines we would like to see at the conclusion of the next legislative session, and just about everyone present picked transportation package passing the legislature as the headline that they would like to see. With that, that concludes my report. Moving now to the consent calendar, there are a number of items on the consent calendar this evening. The first is the accounts payable and payroll dated January 5th. The minutes of our City Council regular meeting of December the 15th, 2014. Agenda Bill 6891, amending IMC 3.78.010, inmate health and welfare account booking fee. Agenda Bill 6938, King County Waste Reduction and Recycling Grant. Agenda Bill 6939, Local Hazardous Waste Management Program Grant. And finally, Agenda Bill 6904, the Walk and Roll Issaquah Action Strategy. Does any council member desire to pull any of these down to regular business? Council member Scher.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't necessarily want to pull it down to regular business, but I would ask that Agenda Bill 6891, which is the booking fee, be referred back to the February Services Committee meeting for recommendation at that time.
Okay, well, we'll pull that down to regular business and have a discussion on that. Any other bills that council members desire to pull down? Seeing none then, have the accounts payable and payroll been reviewed?
Yes, they have.
And what is your pleasure for the consent calendar? Council President Winterstein.
Yeah, I move that we approve the consent calendar as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none then, all those in favor of approving the consent calendar as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Moving now to regular business, we pulled down Agenda Bill 6891, amending the IMC 3.78-010 inmate health and welfare account booking fee. That is coming back to the Council from Services and Safety. And Eileen, that's coming back from your committee, I believe?
It is.
Okay.
It was just, I was just made aware this evening, excuse me. I was just made aware this evening that Councilmember Scher had a addition that he would like to put into this. And would you prefer to present this, or should I read this for you, for Josh?
I'd be happy to just mention the basis for having it come back to committee is to take a look at the discretion of the court in either being able to waive or reduce the fee. Now, there may be, and I've been told from a couple different sources, a couple different state laws that may be applicable here, one in RCW Title III and another in Title 10. That may be applicable. And so I'm not 100% sure as we sit here regarding that. And actually, as I was referred to those RCWs, then another question came to mind, which is making sure that that cost is wholly recoverable by the city, and whether we needed any sort of special language in there that emphasizes that it's a reimbursement of a cost incurred by the city in the prosecution of the case, which would then exempt us from having to pay the state some portion of that fee. Again, that may be covered by existing state law, but as I sit here, I don't know the answer. So I'm hoping that a couple of these issues can be addressed through a committee-level discussion, which frankly shouldn't take very long.
So it sounds like, is there a motion to refer this back to Services and Safety Committee at their next meeting?
I can make that motion if that's what the committee would like. I'd like to make a motion at this moment to refer Agenda Bill 6891 back to Services and Safety Committee meeting for their February meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none then, all those in favor of referring Agenda Bill 6891 back to the Services and Safety Committee for discussion, bringing it back to the full council at...
Mayor, may I ask, the chief is with us this evening. I just want to make sure that this is not impacting something that's time sensitive. Okay. Thank you.
And I'm seeing a nodding of heads indicating no. So this would come back at the council meeting following the Services and Safety Committee meeting.
Yes.
So all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Moving now to our next item, good of the order. Is there anyone present who has anything for good of the order? Councilmember Milligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to share with the public that we're looking forward to seeing you at Blakely Hall this Saturday. Meet the mayor at Blakely Hall in Issaquah Highlands at 10 a.m. And the Highlands Council is really happy to be hosting you, and we're trying to bring out all our friends to come down and visit with you about issues and questions that they may have about dealings in Issaquah.
Well, I am excited at that announcement, and you can assure all of our residents up in the Highlands and throughout the city that I'm looking forward to that meeting also. So thank you for that announcement. Anything else for good of the order this evening? Seeing none, then there is no executive session. We are adjourned at 7:23.